Hello and welcome to the Union Pacific Railroad Geneva Subdivision. This is part 2 of a two-part series on Intermodal Train ITA AH5. Part 1 saw the stacked train moving from Clinton across the Mississippi River into Franklin Grove and finally coming into the Global 3 Intermodal Yard. We also saw a lot of switching, adding cars and taking off cars. And now the train is ready to depart. As you can see, we're leaving with 3 locomotives. And these are 2 of the locomotives are AC 4400s. And then the third one is a SD70M. So they are pulling out of the engine facilities and are going to be heading back and connecting up to the train so that it can continue its movement eastward across the Geneva Subdivision. As you can see, there's a coal train that's passing through while this takes place. On the screen also you can see the throttle that's being used to run trains. As you can see, I have 3 throttles being used there. The 4835 is the train that just went through or just is going by right now, the loaded coal train, and I have it set at 40. I try to get the speeds of the locomotives to kind of match the mile per hours closely as possible. I haven't really spent a lot of time on it, but my goal is that 40 is generally the speed setting for trains as they're going across the main line. That should correspond to approximately 40 scale miles per hour. 8622 on the throttle is another coal train that'll be coming through here. Actually, I think it's just waiting on this particular video. And then 6942 is the one that's moving right now to connect up to the stack train. You can see some of the containers that I built, and some the ones in the back are the ones I built. The ones in the foreground are Deluxe Innovations containers, but that is the maintenance shed there for the intermodal equipment on the being used in and around the Geneva Subdivision, in this case Global 3. Alright, so we're pulling the slack out of the train. Actually, we did that already. Normally, again, I would be taking some time to pump up the air brakes, but we're kind of moving on anyway, just to save time on the video. So normally we don't connect up and go like being shown here. But the train is all ready to go, so it's now crossing over from the lee track of the Global 3 yard and onto track 2 of the main line. Now, one thing you'll notice here, I have mentioned this before about the turnback curve here. This is the one place on the layout that has a 180 degree curve, which I usually try to avoid, but this is a long narrow section of our basement that absolutely required that there be this, so I broke it up with some trees there. You can kind of see the extent of the trees here at the end, so you can't see the complete train making the 180 degree turn. So here now comes around the remaining part of the 180 degree turn. And we're going to be moving from Global 3 into Rochelle. This is the interchange track, the BNSF Union Pacific interchange track. The BNSF local is a very interesting locomotive or train to run. It basically collects cars from the industries and sets them on the interchange track for the Union Pacific, and then cars that are dropped off by the Union Pacific are then distributed to the industries again by the BNSF switcher. So if you are part of a operating session, that also always is a very fun job to do. So now we're heading through the signals here. We did have a green, I believe, and going across the BNSF Union Pacific crossing. You can see Rochelle there. Need to do a lot of work yet there. I do have all the buildings pretty much in place, but still have lots of roads and trees and all kinds of different things. You can also see a coal train. That's the 8622 that's been waiting for this intermodal train to come through. So now that it has crossed over, the coal train will be able to run through the Geneva subdivision. Here we are now at the east end of Rochelle, coming around another curve here and going to be heading across the Rock River. This is the tail end of the coal train that it just went by. Have some trees there hiding the hole in the wall. And now we're coming through Wheaton. This area here needs the most work, as I've said before. It's really kind of a stark contrast. I need to put some trees or something in there so it doesn't look so two-dimensional. Give it a little bit, especially in the foreground there. Maybe if I just put some trees or structure there or something, maybe it might break things up. And now it's coming through some area here between Wheaton and Elmhurst. Here's a control point that contains two crossovers. The crossovers that have only one, or control points that have only one crossover, were left over from when the layout was in Rochelle. I've been trying, since I moved here, if I had the space to do two crossovers for a control point. Just gives a lot more flexibility in operations. And now we're running through Elmhurst, Illinois. This is much further along. I've heard a lot of people say, how come there's not 3 tracks like there is in Elmhurst? Why only 2? Mainly just has to do with space limitations. Just not able to put 3 tracks in there. We have a metro train that's coming through, making a stop at the station. That's a Cottle F40 and Cottle Metra streamliners. And so as the metro train makes its stop there in Elmhurst, the stack train ITAAH5 continues through Elmhurst. In this shot, you'll be able to see the pusher train, the DPU locomotive, the pushing from the rear end. This is also another example of disguising a hole between the walls there. The overpasses do a good job of disguising holes. And now we pull through Proviso. The cars, a string of cars there in the foreground is an outgoing train that's been put together by the Proviso crew and will be heading out soon. Looks like we have a green to continue towards Chicago. A lot of people have mentioned about how I have all the containers blocked, and to be honest with you, they are pretty much correct about that. I do need to mix things up. I'm not sure why I have them all blocked that way. Just kind of is the way I purchased the cars. When I would train watch in Rochelle, there were some K-line containers and Pacer containers that were blocked together, so I'm going to try and keep those together. But then the rest of them can be mixed up a lot more. So as you see containers, stack trains in the future on the Geneva subdivision, you should see the containers mixed up a lot more than they are right now. And now we're going across Des Plaines River Bridge, as it heads from Maywood into River Forest. It goes through a little bit of a forest preserve there, and as it does so, Norfolk Southern train is bringing cars from a Norfolk Southern Yard in Chicago to Proviso. That'll be the end of the run for this Norfolk Southern train. And then now we have the train going through River Forest and heading into the staging yard. And this brings us to the end of this particular train's run. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stay tuned for more operations videos and just videos about updates and progress on the Union Pacific Railroad Geneva subdivision. Have a great day.